Welcome to TTL Media. I am not Tyler Perry. Get somewhere and sit down. I'm your host, Tim Black. Now, the brash, sometimes controversial owner of the Dallas Mavericks, Mark Cuban, had some words to say to Inc. magazine in regards to Donald Sterling. Now, his words are now echoing all across the internets. It's caused quite a flurry of controversy. And for those words, let's go here. Mark Cuban said this: if I see a black kid in a hoodie and it's late at night, I'm walking to the other side of the street. And if on that side of the street there's a guy that has tattoos all over his face, white guy, bald head, tattoos everywhere, I'm walking back to the other side of the street. First of all, I got to do this. Everybody, slow clap. That's right. This is a slow clap moment. Mark Cuban saying something that's real, something that's true and it's honest. And it may not be pretty, but it is the reality. It's the reality that even a man who owns a basketball team that employs a lot of African Americans, he still has hang-ups about race, about color. Even though most of his players wear hoodies. They work out in hoodies, may train outside, whatever. He sees them come into practice dressed in sweats, sweat gear, whatever. And he knows that they're not dangerous. They're millionaires. But if he sees a kid dressed just like them outside, he's honest and truthful when he says he'd cross the street if it was late. It's sad. Look, let me stop there. It's sad. Especially after the murder of Trayvon Martin, or the killing, some people like to put it. So, here's the thing. The fact that Mark Cuban compared the black kid with the hoodie, that'll make him cross the street, but he didn't say a white kid with a hoodie on the other side of the street. No, a white kid, for him to be scared of the white kid, it had to be late at night, and the white kid had to have tattoos all over his face, and he had to have a shaved head. See the difference? One's an article of clothing. One's a lifestyle. You get it. I think there's a lot more black kids wearing hoodies and sweatshirts than are white kids with buzz cuts and tattoos on their face and all over their body, as Cuban described. And it's not okay, right? It's bigotry. And the fact that Mark Cuban admits that, I guess, well, look, he has nothing to lose. He's a billionaire. You can't take his money from him, can you? Okay, so let's go to another comment before I go too long. Let's go to another comment Mark Cuban made. I know that I'm not perfect, he adds. While we all have our prejudices and bigotries, we have to learn that it's an issue that we have to control. That it's part of my responsibility as an entrepreneur to try to solve it, not just to kick the problem down the road. And I get that. I get what he's saying. I do. So I don't want people, look, don't bash Mark Cuban. I don't want people bashing Mark Cuban for his statements. They were honest statements. They were truthful statements. That's a lot more than you're going to get from most people. Now, I got a lot to say about the whole Donald Sterling thing. I do. I made a couple videos on it. People are like, you're making too many videos on Donald Sterling. This race is a very volatile issue. And if talking about race helps people, man, I do it as much as I can if I think it'll help, because I think it's the dividing line between us moving forward as a nation, as a world, and not moving forward. Here's the thing, and this is something I want the white folks out there, and my Latino folks, and my Asian folks, and my Native American folks, black folks, I hope you're already tuned in. But everybody come a little closer. Come a little closer. Check this out. What Mark Cuban said about crossing the street, about, I guess, fear of the black kid in the hoodie, what he doesn't realize is that a lot of black people feel the same way. In fact, they would cross the street first Hell, you think that white people are prejudiced against black people. You just don't know. Black people are the most prejudiced people against themselves. Probably more prejudiced against each other than you could ever be. I said, black people are more prejudiced against themselves. More prejudiced against themselves than white people could ever be. At least openly. In 2014. Let that sink in. Now, the kicker to that is this. Where'd they learn it from? And race is not just a white issue. It's not just a Latino issue about how they feel about black folks. It's about how black folks feel about black folks as well. And the people that we're really against, or that we are blaming, that we're upset with, a lot of them are poor white folks who have nothing to do with white supremacy. They're just white people trying to get by. We have a lot of misplaced anger or resentment about race relations in America. So that's just, it's just a mess. But I value Mark Cuban having the cojones. He had the balls to come out and say some truth, to speak his mind on the subject. Donald Sterling, I do believe that the league did the right thing. And look, I'm not one of these people who think that the league did it for the best interest of the players. They did it for the best interest of their bottom line. Because the league knew he was prejudiced. The league knew about his lawsuits way before this. The league knew. And they were very comfortable with him as being an owner. No suspensions at all. I mean, his case was settled back in 2006. And the LA chapter of the NAACP gave him an award in 2009. Knowing about his legal issues. Knowing about his housing discrimination. Knowing about his racial animosity. And they were set to give him another one this year. If it weren't for this controversy. And he'd given them $45,000. Bribe money. I mean, donations to help out with African American problems with black folks. Because he helps blacks. So look, guys, I think Mark Cuban's comments are truthful. I think they're real. I think they have merit. I hope that he's not saying that they should keep Donald Sterling because you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you know what? I wouldn't play for Donald Sterling. I wouldn't. I know that's easy for me to say, right? Because no one's offering me millions of dollars to play for him. Maybe I'd play for him, cash the check, and then quit. I don't know. Then he'd sue me. Then we'd have a fight. But I'd live good for a while on that money. So these are questions, right. So these are questions that we really don't know the answer to. But I think the league is doing the right thing. Well, and as far as their motives, I don't care what their motives are. I think Donald Sterling does need to be out. And I understand what Mark Cuban's saying about all of us having some inside, some contamination. And that's the thing that we all need to address. We are all contaminated with this white supremacist shit. All right? And even in black folks, you are contaminated with this against yourselves, against other blacks, and you're contaminated with it when you deal with white folks. And then you look at Latinos and you got a problem. And it's all screwed up because all of us have stuff that's in us that's kind of productive towards peace and living with equality. But to my people who say that Donald Sterling or Mark Cuban has a right to their First Amendment, they do. They do have their First Amendment right. But you know what? We have the right to criticize them. We do. That's also part of the First Amendment. And the marketplace has a right to say we don't want you anymore. Those are also rights, freedoms of the market. That's how it works. All right, folks, I've talked long enough. I hope that you can see where I'm coming from on this. Leave me a comment in the comment description, in the comment section. I would think that we're having a great dialogue on important issues, things we need to address. I don't think that Mark Cuban is a bad person. I don't know. But at least he's being honest about his bigotry and his prejudice. More of us need to look in the mirror and be honest about ours. And until we can do that, we've learned nothing from Donald Sterling and nothing from the death of Trayvon Martin and nothing from the civil rights movement.